First off, define your goal. What's your objective? So the most important thing before you ever have a conversation with someone, as I mentioned, whether that be in person or over the phone, you want to know what your objective, because a lot of times when we pick up our phones to make a call, the most scary thing that we can ever do is press that green button to go ahead and make the call. And the reason why is because we haven't been well prepared enough. So we want to become incredibly intentional on every appointment and call that we make. What is the ultimate objective? What is the ultimate goal? And so when you think about it, as far as setting those goals for yourself, let's take other industries, for example, the actor in the movie or the professional athlete on the field. When you're watching a game, that is not the first time they've ever been on the field, right? So the reality is they have practiced thousands and thousands of hours before they've ever made the movie scene or they've ever hit the field. So that should be no different than in real estate. But for some reason in real estate, a lot of times is we just want to get out there and hit the ground running without ever being incredibly intentional about our objectives, our goals, or really practicing, if you will. I think I just saw Rakita join us. Please go ahead and put your name and your license number in the chat to make sure that you get credit for today. And then we've got Pratish joining as well. Pratish, if you can put your name and your license number in the chat. Limiting beliefs. This is a big one. If you've taken any of my classes, you know I start with psychology and mindset first, because I believe that's the biggest obstacle that we have to overcome before we focus on the strategy. As Tony Robbins would say, it's 80% mindset, psychology, and energy, and 20% strategy. But a lot of times we're just focusing on the how-to instead of focusing on ourselves first. So limiting beliefs, one of the most common ones that I hear when it comes to scripts is, I don't want to call now because I'm bothering them. When is the right time to call? Do I call between 8 and 9? Is that too early? Do I call at their lunch break between 12 and 1 when maybe they're at lunch at work? Or do I call after hours? Oh, no, maybe they have kids. Maybe I'm bothering them. Here's the reality, guys. There is no best time to make the phone call. The best time is just to pick up the phone and call, because I've called all throughout the day, every day of the week. And the reality is you're going to get different results. So there is no secret into when to call them. Now, and if you just logged in, please make sure that you're muted unless you're opening up to comment or ask a question. So your power hour, this is incredibly important. Actually, I just got off a Facebook Live with one of our team leaders in North Carolina, and he talked about, if you don't have results, if you don't have production today, a lot of that can stem with looking at your calendar. If you look at your calendar and there's a lot of white space, that means you haven't been intentional with your time. So any top producer that I've ever worked with has what I call a power hour. It's 1 hour, ideally 2 hours a day, of intentional conversations with people in your database, following up, and also new prospects, asking for the appointment or referral. So a lot of us in real estate, we focus on the branding and the marketing. We might post on social media of this awesome closing that we just had, or this showing that we just had. And all of that's great for our branding and marketing. But the reality is, prospecting, outbound conversations, outbound prospecting, unintentional conversations every single day is where we're going to control the outcome. Think about it like this. Branding and marketing is like throwing a dart at the wall and hoping that it sticks, whereas prospecting is where you start controlling the numbers, you start controlling the conversations, and ultimately controlling the outcome of your business. Start first in the morning. Get the most undesired tasks completed first. If you attended my class on Monday, I talked about this as well. So if you hate cold calling, if you hate prospecting, some people love it, by the way. My husband's one of those people. But if you hate it, I would do it first thing in the morning. As soon as 8 o'clock rolls around, I would say, I'm going to set a power hour from between 8 and 9, 8 and 10, whatever that may be, and start first thing in the morning. Here's why. If you don't like doing those tasks, what's going to happen is you're naturally going to push it off for the rest of the day. And then your mental capacity, your mental and psychology is going to be just bogged down, because you know that you need to get it done, but you just don't want to get it done. So you're putting it off. Whereas in the reverse, If you do those undesired tasks first thing in the morning, then you just feel like you've conquered the rest of the day and you're so excited. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to prospecting, I talked about it's 80% psychology and energy is going to be the results that you're going to get. So if you're in a, let's just be honest, if you're in a bad mood, if you're not excited, if you're not awake yet, maybe you need to go have your cup of coffee, don't make your calls yet, because the reality is they're going to feel that in the conversation, whether that be in person or on the other side of the phone. So I've always made it a habit that, I put some fun music. I might watch a motivational video, something fun to get my mindset and my energy right before I ever get started. So also, the last one here is set expectations and know your average conversion rates. It's important to know your numbers, because if I know that the national average conversion rate is 3%, I know that I need to have 100 conversations in order to close 3 deals. If I don't know what the national averages are and I don't understand what my personal conversion rates are, I might say, okay, I'm going to make 100 calls today and I expect to convert 100 clients, and that's just not going to be reality. So you've got to set realistic expectations with yourself. Ask yourself, how much could I earn if I was well prepared and practiced? We talked about every other profession must practice. Why would it be any different as a real estate agent? If you're going on your listing presentation, if you're going on a buyer's consultation, if you're calling for sale by owners and FSBOs, don't let that be the first time you've ever tried, because that's where you're going to stumble. Practice those objections. There's only so many objections that you're going to get. So practice before you ever have those. I would recommend getting an accountability partner, getting somebody to practice with, and then make that consistent, which we'll talk about a little bit later on how those accountability calls should be set up. Ask yourself, why did I get into real estate? Did you get in for financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom, the ability to be your own boss? It's important to understand that, know your why, and attach some emotion to your why. Your why can't be that I just want to make $200,000 a year. It needs to have some emotional and personal attachment to it. As I mentioned on Monday, maybe it's taking your family on a vacation. Maybe it's paying your house off. Maybe it's paying medical bills, whatever it is. It's important to know that, because that has to be greater than your excuses. So when you know what your why is, and when you have tasks that you don't want to do, you're more likely to get those done. And then ask yourself and be honest, are you fulfilling those goals? Mindset is the number one reason you will either fail or succeed. So keep in mind that that is the secret sauce to success. So before we start getting into becoming a script master, we have to look at who our ideal client is. This is incredibly important, because once you understand who your ideal client is, you're going to know what problem they have and then how you solve that problem. So that's incredibly important, because that's going to really tie into your scripts. What are the demographics? What social media platforms are they on? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn? Because whatever platforms they are on are the ones that you should be focusing on. Referrals and Sphere. If you are running a referral-based business, maybe you've been in the industry a while and most of your business is coming from your Sphere or referrals, then you want to make sure that you're reaching out to them. It's not just take, you're giving and take, and you're reminding them about the fact that you're in real estate. I always talk about the difference between sphere of influence versus sphere of power. Sphere of influence is your family, friends, those closest to you. Sphere of power are your 10 personal cheerleaders. Those people, when they think about real estate, they think about you first, and they're always going to recommend you every single time. So make sure that you're staying in front of them. There's a saying that if you own their mind share, you're going to own the market share. So how can you stay top of mind? Of course, you could be cold calling, right? So that could be expireds for sell by owners. FSBOs, of course, those are people that are literally raising their hand and saying that they want to sell. But you have to think about, how are you going to make yourself different from every other real estate agent that's calling them? Expireds, again, they're also raising their hands and saying they want to sell. So what are you going to do different from the person that just listed their homes? And then last but not least, we have internet leads. We'll talk about this a little bit later on, but most people call once, maybe twice. We know the average is 8 touches before they ever convert. My team personally is required when we have internet leads come in, they have to call them 4 times within the first 24 hours. They have to send a personalized video text. They leave a voicemail on the second attempt, letting them know what time they're going to call them on the third attempt. So again, trying to set yourself apart in different ways from everybody else that may be calling them. What are your 4 lead generation buckets? Now, some of this is a quick recap on some of the things that we went over on Monday and setting your business plan. What are the 4 ways, you should do no more than 4 in my opinion, that you're going to commit to lead generating? Here's some examples: expireds, FSBOs, focusing on your referral partners and social media branding. Maybe you like door knocking or open houses, whatever it may be. Determine what those lead generation buckets are. And when you understand them, you now know what activities you should be doing in your prospecting power hour. And then it becomes easier to say no to all the other activities that don't fall in line with what your goals are. So does anybody want to share what their lead generation buckets are currently? I promise I don't bite. Anybody doing any of these?
Just referrals.
Referrals. Okay. Do you mind me asking how you're staying top of mind to get those referrals?
I don't think there's really any one specific way. I mean, just, good service prior to. And then I have just a handful of investors that I work with. So that's kind of my bread and butter.
Awesome. So investors is a great way. One thing that you can do is if you go to like Eventbrite or any of those websites, there's always a lot of investor meetups. If investors was one of my buckets, I would definitely be going to the sheriff sales. We all know that there's a lot of investors there building relationships. I would go to websites like Eventbrite and look at all the investor meetups and start going to those events and wholesale events, etc. So investors would definitely be a good bucket. Anybody else want to share anything? All right. Thanks so much for sharing that. So how much time are you spending on what we call your plan? This is something you should be working on every single day. Every activity that you're doing throughout your work day should follow in one of these 4 categories. So plan stands for prospecting, lead follow-up, setting appointments, and then negotiating contracts. So a lot of times in real estate, it's easy to kind of get consumed with what we call busy work and not your income producing activities, your IPAs. So your IPAs are going to fall in line with prospecting, lead follow-up, appointments, and negotiating contracts. So when you look at your calendar, unless it's a personal appointment, it should fall into one of these 4 categories. Going out to lunch with a lender or a title rep and you don't have business yet is not necessarily going to get you more business, right? So you've got to work on your business first. As Tony Robbins would say, there's 5 phases of mastery. That's going to be creation, implementation, then you gain momentum, stabilization, and then of course, mastery. So a lot of times we're practicing to get started. We just need to get started. With that said, you do want to practice a little bit. So it's finding that balance. Mastery is possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that you make the master of you. So some of that master comes by practicing, and some of it's going to be coming into play as implementation as you get started. So going into scripts, what you say matters. Even to today, after being in the industry for 14 years, I will record a lot of my conversations. I'll have somebody listen to my conversations because the reality is sometimes we can just adjust one small thing, like a single word, that can make all the difference. And the reason why I say this, I have shadowed a lot of real estate agents on listing appointments or buyer consultations. And what I have found is going back to their own energy, they show a lack of confidence to their potential client. If I go into a listing appointment and instead of giving my opinion on the valuation of their home, I'm like, well, what do you think? What do you think it's worth? What do you think you should do? that's going to show a lack of confidence. As a matter of fact, one of our classes coming up is list to sell, how to build rapport and win every single listing, not only win every listing, but make sure that you're listing to sell. And a lot of that comes with your own confidence and how you ask good questions. So we all have heard the phrase that we have one mouth and two ears. We should be listening way more than we should ever be talking. When I go on a listing appointment, I don't go with this canned listing presentation about how great I am that nobody cares about, right? I go in with number one, the confidence that I'm going to get the listing if I want the listing. And I have all the data and I ask a lot of questions to build a rapport. The same thing with a buyer consultation, the same thing with an internet lead. As a matter of fact, I converted an internet lead last night and I called her. I said, hi, is this, I think her name was Debbie. I said, hi, Debbie, this is Micah with eXp Realty. Did I catch you at a good time? And she said, yeah, actually, I'm just making dinner. And I was like, oh, really? What are you making? And she said, I'm making a cabbage dinner. I was like, oh, man, that sounds good. And then she proceeded to give me her entire recipe of how she was making her dinner. So when I say that, I call it what I call is really the anatomy of a conversation is CIA, compliment, and then icebreaker. And then, of course, if you do those right, you're going to set the appointment. So CIA, compliment, icebreaker, set the appointment. So when I, number one, introduced myself, I asked her name to make sure and confirm I was speaking to the right person. I introduced myself, so I didn't leave her guessing. And that's because I've had those spam calls where people just talk as if they know you. And then at the end, they're trying to sell you something. I don't want to be that person. So I always introduce myself and I ask them if now is a good time to chat, if they have a few minutes. And then I respect that I've asked for just a few minutes. If it needs to be a longer conversation, I'll ask when would be a good time. But then I try to build rapport with them instead of going into just a salesy script. So a lot of that, it goes in asking good questions. And then more importantly, listening to their answers. A lot of times we're just quick to try to jump from question to question to question, and we're not even taking time to listen to their answers. Make sure you're taking notes because they will sense that, they will feel that. You don't want to make it sound automated or scripted. Again, they're going to sense that right off the bat. So show that you care and you're sincere in helping. Even last night, I got another lead, somebody looking for a rental. I typically don't work with rentals, but I went ahead and passed it off to one of our team members just as a way to help because we are in the service industry. Tell them what makes you different, but don't focus on this too much. They want to know that here's what their problem is. It's up to you through your questions to identify what problem they have and then how you're going to solve it. Find out their problem, why, and then solve it. Reassure throughout the conversation. Say a lot of things like, I understand, I agree, I've been there, right? Things that are going to help you relate them. Don't act salesy, but speak with certainty. So a lot of people confuse acting salesy with also speaking with certainty. So that goes back to that confidence level. You're going to gain more confidence the more that you practice. Always introduce yourself. As I mentioned, don't leave them guessing. So scripts, practice makes you more professional. I don't like the phrase practice makes you perfect because you're never going to be perfect. None of us are ever perfect. Even if you've been in the industry for 20 years, you should always be practicing. You should always be perfecting your scripts and looking at how you can make them better. So here's just a couple simple scripts. And by the way, toward the middle of this, I'll have you put your information. If you want our script manual, I'm happy to give it to you for free. So referrals, you could say, I love working with you. I would love to help others that you care about. Is there anyone you know that I can help? Right? Instead of just going to everybody that you know and saying the old fashioned script, do you know anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? What does that say? That says me, 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 me. This one, if you just tweak it a little bit, it says, I love working with you and I want to help others just like you. How can I help? A more direct approach is my goal is to sell X homes, maybe 10 homes this year. I would love if you can help me out. Do you know anyone that might be in the market for a home in the next 6 months? That's a little bit more of a direct script. Do you know anyone recently married, had a baby, promoted at their job that they may be able to use my services, I would love to reach out to them. Now, the reason why we broke it down into these categories, married, had a baby, or promoted at their job, is when you give someone direction on exactly what you're looking for, their brain automatically starts thinking that. Instead of, if I would have just asked, do you know anyone looking to buy a house? They might not have thought of anyone. But if I ask very specific questions, do you know anyone that just got married, had a baby, or promoted, or relocating, I'd love to help them. So I've given them very specific instructions. And again, this is for referrals. I wanted to share with you some exciting news. I just got my real estate license and I have an awesome mentor. I'm looking for my first few clients. Can you help me out? So that's obviously for somebody that's newly licensed. Those were for referrals. Now, FSBOs, for sell by owners. Are you accepting offers? Great. I'd love to come take a tour. Is today at 4 or tomorrow at 12 better for you? The reason why I'm giving time frames instead of just asking the generic question, when works for you, that's too open-ended. So if you notice this question, it's very specific to today at 4, tomorrow at 12, and that way they can check their calendar and just, instead of just saying, what time can I come over? And it's very open-ended, which again gives us analysis paralysis, and we don't want to give too many options. I work with buyers in your area, but I'm not familiar with your house. Can I stop by today after dinner for a quick tour? Aside from paying a commission, is there any other reason you wouldn't hire a professional? Again, you're asking these questions and then you're doing that awkward pause because they're going to think through it for a little bit. What do you feel your home, why do you feel your home hasn't sold yet? And then the last one here, what is your marketing plan? Because we all know that for sell by owners, typically they think the process is easy. They don't understand everything that we do as a real estate professional. And so when you start putting little bugs in their ears in terms of what their marketing plan is, and then you could follow that with, I have a 52-point marketing plan. Do you mind if I share that with you? Right? And so showing them how they could get their home sold for the most amount of money possible, constantly adding value, which we'll get into more detail later on. Expired listings. I see your home just came off the market. If I brought you a buyer, are you still looking to sell? Why do you feel your homes didn't sell the last time? Again, then you do that awkward pause. Don't be ready to jump and answer the question for them. Don't go bash the agent or how bad their photos were or how bad their MLS listing was. Let them answer because they're going to tell you exactly what you need to know in order to handle that objection. You've already been through the listing process. What would you have done differently? What deciding factors are you looking for in hiring your next and final agent? The key word is final, letting them know that the next agent they hire is going to get their home sold so they won't have to go through the process all over again. Internet leads. Hey, Debbie, this is Micah with eXp Realty. I noticed that you were looking at 123 Main Street. Can you grab a pen and paper so I can share with you some information that may not be available online? So again, I'm leading with value. This could be as simple as the property disclosures. Maybe I get their email and I say, I can send you the property disclosures, or maybe I viewed the property and I send them a short video. Again, our team is required to send a follow-up video, personalized video text to any internet leads. And it would go something like this. Hey, Debbie, this is Micah with eXp Realty. I'm sorry that I missed you. I just left you a voicemail, but I wanted you to be able to put a face with the name. I will try to give you a call back again later today between 2 and 3. I hope we can connect. So that would have been a follow-up from my first message via personalized video text. Are you just browsing or actively looking for a home in the next 12 months? Do you have a home to sell before you purchase? Or how quickly are you looking to sell? So these are just some of the questions that you can ask based on the type of lead. Door knocking. We are hosting an open house down the street, and I'd like to invite you to a sneak preview only for the neighbors. If you're doing an open house, we teach the 10 by 10 by 10. You should be door knocking to 10 houses on the left, 10 homes on the right, and the 10 homes across the street, and inviting them 30 minutes or an hour before the official open house starts. Here's a reality. If you've ever done an open house, we all know that the neighbors are going to come by. They're going to come by anyway. They're going to pretend to be a client. So they might as well invite them, build that rapport before you actually have potential consumers coming into the house. Here's another script you can use. We just sold your neighbor's house for over asking in less than 24 hours. Now, of course, you want to make sure that's accurate. Do you know anyone else in the neighborhood that may be looking to sell? Here's the key with this. I did not ask them if they were looking to sell. That way I take them off the defense. I asked them if they knew anyone in the neighborhood looking to sell. So that way they automatically started thinking. They might say, yeah, I just heard Susie and Ryan, just got married and they might be looking to get a bigger house or what have you. So again, instead of asking them directly, I asked if they knew anyone. We just moved in the neighborhood and wanted to introduce ourselves as we would like to earn your trust in business as the local real estate expert. This is a great one, obviously, to start farming your particular neighborhood that you might have just moved into. We just sold the home down the street and have pre-approved buyers ready to go. Do you know anyone looking to sell? So again, this is a great way if you have a listing, it's gone under contract, it's sold, that you can leverage to get more listings in the area. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, I don't have any listings. How can I use these scripts? Ask people within your team, ask people within your brokerage. If you see an awesome house that just went under contract or just closed, call that agent up and say, hey, do you mind if I start door knocking and sharing the statistics from our company with the neighbors? A lot of times they're not going to mind. I know personally, when I was doing a lot of real estate investing and flipping a lot of homes, I always encouraged our team members to leverage that success and go start door knocking and letting people know, hey, this house just sold. Create an email list. Ask the neighbors if they would like to be added to a monthly newsletter that will give market reports specific to that neighborhood. Because here's the reality. When you start building that email list and start building that value and that rapport, they may look at that email for 11 months with absolutely no interest. And then in the 12th month, whenever they get that email and they are actually considering to sell their house, you've been the one that's consistently been in front of them, that's caught their attention. And now they're getting automated market updates to their neighborhood and they can see exactly what their house is going to sell for. So that's one of the best things that you can do in order to stay top of mind. Now, when it comes to scripts, you want to let it flow. Scripts are meant to keep the conversation on track. That's all it is. As I mentioned, you don't want to sound robotic. You don't want to sound salesy. You don't want to sound too scripty. It's just meant to have a list of questions, which I'll give you guys a formula a little bit after the break, but it's meant to keep it on track. Scripts are the anatomy of the conversation, but it's not meant to be scripted. Prepare for the unexpected. Start documenting all the objections that you get. And that way you can start preparing for that for the next call, because there's only so many objections that you can get in real estate. So understand how you're going to handle those objections. Keep reverting back to your questions. We talked about asking good questions and then listening. So anytime you get off track, you can bring the conversation back on track by asking good questions. Find ways to connect with your potential client. We talked about CIA, compliment, icebreaker, be funny, relate to them, try to find some kind of common ground and ways to build rapport and connect with them. Keep your scripts simple. No long-winded questions. You can't ask 3 questions in one because they're not even going to remember what you just said. Now, a few ways that you can build rapport is using the acronym FORD. FORD stands for family, occupation, recreation, and then dreams. Understanding all this, when you get off the phone with someone, you should know if they're married, if they have kids, what their goals are, why are they wanting to move, all of these different things, instead of just, I want to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for $250,000 in Oklahoma City. That's just stats, but I need to understand why. What is the motivation behind it? And what's the full picture in order to best serve them? Don't call them and say, hey, Susie, this is Micah with EXP. How are you doing? Because again, they have no idea why you're calling them. You ask, hey, Susie, this is Micah with EXP Realty. Did I catch you at a good time? Yes. Okay, awesome. Well, I was just reaching out to you. I noticed that you were browsing on our website and just wanted to see if I could be of any assistance to you. And then you stop talking and let them talk. Ask, how many bedrooms and bathrooms do you want? Right? Are there any important features that you're looking for in the house? Have you seen a home that comes to mind that you've liked? Right? So when you think about like open house scripts, for example, A lot of agents will just kind of let people browse. One of the best things that you can do is when somebody comes into the open house, ask them, what is your favorite feature of a house? The kitchen? Awesome. Let's start there, right? You be very personalized and custom to what their needs are. Now, when it comes to objection handling, this is our favorite, right? It's not you, it's the situation. Take out your personal feelings. I can tell you, I've made a lot of calls in my day. My husband's made a lot of calls in his day. I think I've been hung up on once in my entire career, and he's been cussed out maybe once in his entire career. So I think the stats are not too bad. But you have to remember, it's not about you, it's about the situation. So if you're talking to someone, don't take it personal because you have no idea what's going on in their life. Maybe they had a family member that just passed away. Maybe they just got out of the hospital. Maybe they just lost their job. Something that significantly impacted their personal life that's impacting and how they're reacting to you. So if you get on a bad call, just say, okay, I'm sorry. If there's anything else I can do, please let me know. I'll be here. And then just move on and make the next call. Don't let that ruin the rest of your day. Now, another common objection you're going to get is a commission discount. Do you discount your services? Now, I want to ask you guys, before you guys read my objection handler here, how do you all combat or handle the objection if you want to discount your commission? Is anybody willing to share? Has anybody had this objection?
I basically just say it's not optional. I mean, unless it's just like something that really makes sense. Sometimes if there's a little bit of apprehension, I'll offer, 5% if I sell versus the 6 or something like that. But that's kind of the most I'll do in those situations.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. And by the way, you guys, we all know there's no standard commission, so you can offer whatever you want to, but if that's not part of your business model, you understand how you're going to handle that objection. Here's my script, and it works 99% of the time. They say, would you be willing to discount your commission? Nope. Do you have any other questions? Most of the time, they're going to say, I just had to ask, right? Because it goes back to the confidence that you're showing them. Now, for that very small percentage of the time where they want to elaborate on that, then you say, listen, I'm going to be the front line of your negotiations with your potential buyer or seller, right? If I negotiate against myself, how do you think I'm going to negotiate for you? So if you notice, I just threw it back on them. But again, that's a very small percentage of the time. Most of the time when you say, no, I don't discount my services, do you have any other questions for me? They just say, okay, I just had to ask you. So again, it's just practicing that and knowing how you would handle that. Now, here's an experienced objection. Maybe you're a newer agent. Say, listen, I'm here, I'm highly motivated, and that's what brought me to be able to meet with you here today. You could even mention the brokerage that you're affiliated with, the mentorship that you have affiliated with. Maybe you're on a team. Hey, I'm with the #1 real estate team in Oklahoma. I'm with the #1 real estate brokerage in Oklahoma. I have one of the best mentors in Oklahoma City. We're going to be as a team working to get your home sold for the least amount of time, the best price. I'm highly motivated. I promise you I'll get the job done. Timing. So maybe they said, hey, we changed our minds. We don't want to sell for the next 90 days. Did something change to make you not want to sell? Just ask the question, pause, give that awkward silence, and let them answer. I was on a conversation with a seller yesterday, and he said, oh, I'm not looking to sell until December. I said, okay, explain that to me. And he said, well, I retire in September, which means I would want to sell in December. I said, okay. So, we all know that the market from now to December is going to change, could change significantly. Is there anything that would change your mind to get you to consider to sell earlier? And he said, yes, for the right price. If my house is worth over $245,000, I would sell today. I said, okay, then I'll send one of my team specialists out. We'll evaluate your home and see what today's numbers are in terms of selling. Okay. Pricing. It's not about what you or I feel your home is worth, but what the market is telling us will yield the most buyers. So in this case, when I was talking to somebody that doesn't want to list until the fall, I said, listen, we can give you an evaluation of what your home is potentially worth today, but just keep in mind the market may change from now to September or December. So the numbers could be different. But it's not what I feel your home is worth. It's not what you think your home is worth. It's what the data and the numbers and the comparables are going to show us. So we're going to pull what's active on the market to see what your competition is. We're going to pull the solds, what's sold in the last 90 to 180 days. We're going to compare those and understand what your home could potentially appraise and sell for. So I would rather see you decline 3 offers than never receive one because we're overpriced. The reality is if you overprice your home, what's going to happen is we're going to have to do a price drop. And then we might potentially give the perception that we're motivated and we're motivated to keep reducing the price, which is going to yield a lower price. Instead of starting at, let's say, $250,000 as opposed to $275,000, we get into a bidding war because we have multiple buyers. So just kind of understanding some of those objections and handling them face on. Does anybody want to add to any of these or any other scripts that you might use? You guys are a quiet bunch today. All right. So keys to role playing, like I said, in other professions, other industries, it's important to practice. So real estate is no different. So I would recommend everyone find a role playing accountability partner. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks. If you don't have one, maybe you can put in the chat now and some of you can team up from today's call. So first off, let's say I'm going to role play with my accountability partner every Monday morning at 10 o'clock. Here's kind of the rule of thumb. Number 1, get away from distractions. You must be laser focused. If somebody's going to commit to helping you and you're going to commit to helping them, you want to make sure that you honor each other's time. That sounds simple, but I promise you, I deal with agents all the time. They will say, hey, can you hold me accountable? And I'm like, well, I will, but you're not going to like it because if I ask you to do something, I expect it to be done. Otherwise, I'm not going to be your accountability partner. So that's what an accountability partner has to be honest. That's the whole reason in having one, because the reality is nobody's going to care about you and your goals more than yourself. So you have to be willing also to hold yourself accountable. So let's say we're going to meet every Monday morning between 10 and 10:15. Do not be late to that call. Honor their time. As soon as you make the call, you immediately start role playing. No small talk. There's not, oh, it's Monday. I'm tired. How was your weekend? What did you do? Before you know it, you've already spent the 15 minutes and you haven't accomplished anything. You haven't really valued each other's time and you haven't gotten anything done. Right. So you immediately start role playing to say, when I call you at 10, we're going to just get straight into it. Right. Create a schedule and commit no cancellations or rescheduling. Again, that has to be blocked into your calendar with no possibility, unless it's a family emergency, that you're going to cancel or reschedule. Set objectives for each call. What do you want to get out of each call? Cherish and value your time as it's sacred. Stay on script and give real feedback. You cannot be an accountability partner and everything is always just great, right? You've got to be willing to give honest and pure feedback. Eliminate your ego. We have to be willing to make adjustments, even those of us that have been in the industry for a long time. Get feedback from someone unrelated to your industry. That is huge. A lot of times, especially those of us that have been in the industry for a little while, we're kind of set in our ways. And I'm speaking for myself. And so sometimes it's nice to talk to somebody that's newer, just got licensed, maybe doesn't have any preconceived ideas, or somebody that's in another industry. Hey, do you mind if I role play with you real quick? I'd love to hear your feedback because they might give you some feedback that you hadn't even thought about yet. Isaac is our sponsor for today. As you guys know, this is a free CE class. So we have a wonderful sponsor. He's going to give just a quick overview. So Isaac, take the floor.
You bet. Hey, well, thanks for having me. Really happy to be here. And sorry, I don't have my camera set up right where I'm normally looking at it. So I'll try to take a look in here instead of the screen. But my name's Isaac Rice. I'm a loan originator. I'm with Mission Loans. Do all kinds of residential, real estate lending. And so we even have broker partners to do some commercial, typically just the home space, primary, secondary investment, kinds of things. And we help people of all different, all across the board, first time home buyers or people buying jumbo $1 million houses. So we're lucky to be able to work with a lot of
Hello,
realtors
how are
around.
you? Good.
Grateful to be a part of this group and get to meet and work with, a lot of your partners, Micah. And then, one big thing I think we've all noticed, hey, rates are more than double what they were 18 months ago. So that's been part of what has impacted the market. I'm sure you guys have talked about that a little bit, but yes, rates are up, and so is cash to close. So it definitely has pinched a few things, and I think now really more than ever, it's paramount that for you all to make sure that people, before you spend too much time working with somebody or working for them for free, do they have the ability to close? And that's where partners like myself just want to help take some of that burden off of you guys and be able to quickly ascertain if somebody has the ability to purchase right now, and if they don't, give them a roadmap for when they're able to, and be able to set proper expectations and really just do some education for a lot of your buyers. And I'm sure all of you realtors are very good at doing that yourself, but no substitute for if it's my job to do it every day and what I do for a living, I'd love to provide value to you guys and be able to educate borrowers, make recommendations if they do have some road bumps, to get where they're going, to be able to tell them, hey, this is where you are, you're really close, and this is what's in front of you to do it. So just want to encourage, I think, everybody to, early as you can, make sure to get them with a lender. I'd love for it to be me, and if nothing else, even for you guys to maybe even ask some light qualifying questions. One that I think we've seen some of our partners have success with is, hey, tell me about what you've done to prepare for this. Not like grilling. I'm not like, hey, pop quiz, but just while you're getting to know them and what they're looking for, and how it is that you are going to be able to help them find out, hey, that's so awesome. Love to help you do that. Thanks for sharing that info with me. Tell me about what you've done to prepare for this. And I think that can be a pretty smooth question. It's not very aggressive to find out. You're going to find out a little bit more about either what their expectations are, what some of the things that they've already done to prepare are, or maybe you'll find out, hey, they haven't thought about this a lot, or it's their first time. They may not know a whole lot about it. Where can we step in and help them? Do we need to get them with a lender? Just those kinds of things. And just I mentioned cash to close being higher right now than it used to be. In addition to the rates, a lot of that's discount points. And then the other thing that you guys are probably noticing, homeowners insurance rates are going up. All insurance rates are going up. Your autos are going up. And so that's been another thing, just the prepaid item and the escrow padding for homeowners insurance. That's been another contributing factor to cash to close being higher. So something we've been able to do to help a lot of the buyers that our realtor partners, trust us with, is we do participate in a lot of the best down payment assistance programs around. Clearly, there's no substitute for having the cash in hand, but in those circumstances where somebody does have some cash to close challenges, we get creative. We use every resource that's available to help get those people ready to close on a loan. So we do have a lot of those different options available, from repayable, second mortgages, to grants and gifts and things like that. So we participate in a lot of that. And then also, we in the markets that we, help people close loans in, we have a pretty good idea of what people are, I don't want to say getting away with on seller concessions, but what's a reasonable ask, that kind of thing. And we've seen a lot of success in, if the realtor looks really hard at what they believe it will comp for, maybe the offer is just a little over asking, but you ask for the concession that we need to actually be able to close that loan. So those are kind of two of the ways that we help, try to battle the fact that in addition to rates being high, cash to close is generally higher. Those are a couple of things, that we do and that we look at. But I feel like I've, kind of gotten off into the weeds now, but if anybody has any specific questions or topics about lending they'd love to ask about, I'd be happy to field questions or whatever you think, Micah.
I actually have two questions for you. Well, one question and one statement. First thing, Isaac, would you mind putting your contact information in the chat for us? And
Not
then,
a bit. I will do that.
so today's topic is becoming a script master. And I know one of the biggest objections that we're handling as real estate agents, and I'm sure you are as a lender as well, is just as you mentioned, the higher interest rates. Oh, I'm going to wait it out. The prices are going to go down. So I'm going to play the waiting game. What is the number one script or advice that you have for real estate agents as they're hearing this from potential clients?
That's a great one. And we get that a lot too, because I'm sure we are making a lot of the same phone calls or talking to a lot of the same people. I try to find out, typically I like to ask a question in response to rebut their objection type of a thing, and ask them, well, okay, what are you, if you could wave a magic wand, then when do you think you would buy the house? And depending on their answer, kind of go from there and find out, well, okay, that's very helpful. So it sounds like you're just trying to maybe get a head start on all this. Were you really not hoping to get in the home market today? Or unpack that for me and kind of disarm them a little bit to where they'll just speak their mind about what it is they were hoping to do. Because the truth is, if someone's engaging with a professional in the real estate industry, be it a lender or an agent, that I think they are kind of ready, or they're at least trying to get ready, and they are looking for a reason to move forward. And I think it's our job to give them a reason to move forward. Regarding people waiting for home prices to come down, I personally just don't believe that to be something that's about to happen. I think there would be a lot of pretty big, pretty bad things that would have to happen in our economy, and maybe even around the globe, in order to actually have an erosion of home values and property values. And being able to let people know, hey, we're still seeing year over year appreciation in sold home prices, appreciation in even things from 2020 to 21 to 22. That was a huge growth, right? We're still seeing them be appreciating since then. Some of these homes that sold for, what seemed like too much money 18 months ago, 2 years ago, are actually selling again for more money. And so I think being able to tell somebody that, hey, property values really, that's not what I'm seeing in the markets that I work in, despite acquisition costs being altogether as high as they've ever been with interest rates, the sales prices are still as high as they've ever been. So that would be one way that I just kind of have a conversation about that as far as eroding home value. But the other thing, and it's kind of tied to that, is if you don't buy, you actually miss out on the opportunity for appreciation. And that historically, there have been very, very few periods of time which there was depreciation. So in general, real estate is one of the, if not the number one investment throughout time as far as consistency and the odds of, I think it's one of the biggest loss mitigated, type of investments that you can make in that, if you're wishing to actually hold it for a little bit. And that's another thing that I ask that question to people, how long maybe they intend to own a property, and that can inform their decisions on what they choose to do. That's not exactly a script. I'm not, in fact, I need to be attending this a little more because I'm not as much of a script guy, but that's a little bit of the direction that I take that.
Well, I think that's great advice. And we, as we've been talking today, becoming a script master, scripts are the anatomy of a conversation. And when I look at the conversation, that big objection that we're getting right now is I'm waiting for the market to soften. Interest rates are too high. I always let them know you gotta choose your bad, right? So you can wait like the last 24 months and the interest rates did go down. You're absolutely right. But in just kind of the simple law of supply and demand, when the interest rates go down, there's more demand, which caused the prices to go at an all-time high. So even though you might have gotten a lower interest rate for the same home, you're now paying 20, 30, $40,000 more, depending on what their price range is for that same property. So why not look at it this way, where we can now get the same property at more of a normal market price? And you have the option, as Isaac said, how long do you want to stay in the home? 5 years? Great. Well, guess what? If the interest rates go down in the next 5 years, then you now have the option to refi. You've not lost out on the house. You've not overpaid for the price or overpaid for the house. You gain on the appreciation, and now you have the option to refinance at that lower interest rate.
Absolutely. And that's a big one for me. A lot of people thinking that they'll wait to do that. And I think it's best to get if you'd have a desire to own a home today, it is better to get them before there's a run, even further run on inventory, because you're exactly right. That was what will happen. If we're lucky and rates soften, the hope at this point is first quarter of next year, I think, is kind of what we're hoping to really see it start to soften. There will be a run on inventory, and January and February aren't exactly the highest inventory months out there. If you get people start acting crazy before the rest of the spring selling season inventory gets in there, it's just going to feed it, because we've already seen what happened in the previous 2 springs. So I'm with you on that for sure. And the refinance opportunity, I believe, will absolutely be there within the next 18 months.
Awesome. Great conversation. Thank you so much, Isaac. This really goes in line with some of the biggest objections that I'm hearing right now as far as scripts. Real quick, does anybody have any questions for Isaac while he's here before he pops off? I mean, Isaac, you can feel free to stick around, but
No, you're good. Sorry, I was just wanting to get the rest of my contact info in here.
fantastic.
Sorry, I didn't hit the tab before I hit enter when I put my name in there. So I'm cleaning that up. But yes, if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Great. Well, thank you so much. We'll go ahead and officially get started back with the rest of our presentation. I'm going to go back to my screen share. All right. If everybody real quick, just put your name in the chat just to confirm that you're still around after break. Like I said, you got to make sure you're all the way here through the end to get CE credit. We will give a quiz toward the end of this. So if everybody can just take a moment, put their name in the chat, just let me know that you're still around. Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you, guys.
So build your confidence and add value. So there is a direct correlation between how much you're willing to practice and the results you'll achieve every business in the business every single day. So the more you practice, there is a correlation with the results. As I mentioned, there's also a direct correlation with your calendar and the results that you're seeing. So if you don't have the results that you're wanting right now, you need to look at how much you're willing to practice, because that's going to be directly in correlation with how much you're going to get paid. And also look at your calendar. What are the activities? Are you doing business work, or are you doing busy work versus income producing activities? No more listing presentations. Walk into the appointment as if you've already secured the listing. No question in your mind, unless you don't want the listing. So of course, interview them as much as they're interviewing you. Control the conversation. Don't let the client take over. Again, that's where the confidence and the energy shows. If you ask a lot of uncertain questions and what their opinion is, instead of giving your opinion as the hired professional. So if we think about it, if you go to the doctor and you're going to have surgery and you sit down with the surgeon and the surgeon starts asking you questions, what you think needs to happen during the surgery, I'm going to guess you guys are going to go to a different surgeon. Am I right? So why would you do that any different in real estate? You need to go in there as a professional, give your professional advice, and they're going to sense that confidence. Share your unique marketing plan. As I mentioned, I have a 52-point marketing plan because I believe that most sellers don't care about listing presentations and how great you are and how great your company is and yada, 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 yada. They care on two things: how you're going to get their home sold in the least amount of time and for the most money. So you need to share with them your particular unique marketing plan that's proven, that's going to get their home sold instead of this generic listing presentation. Now, you can still have a listing presentation about how great you are, but just email it to them, send it to them before the appointment. If they have any questions, they can ask you at that point. So, believe that you are the best possible option for them. So this goes back to belief in yourself, your own confidence, that you're not bothering people, that you're genuinely helping them. I think we're all in real estate to help serve people, to help people, and that will show if you have the belief in yourself. So earlier we talked about FSBOs, for sale by owners, and kind of that strategy. So a lot of times people might call FSBOs and they call once and then they kind of give up and they're done. And one of the best things that I've seen is if you have this 8-week strategy, create a specialized campaign specific to FSBOs. Now, of course, this is only if you want FSBOs to be part of one of your 4 lead generation buckets. So as you can see here, the first 4 weeks are give, 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 give. So you're going to give, add value. Maybe you give them a market report. Maybe you give them some staging tips, maybe some different kinds of handbooks or things of advice. So you have 4 different ways to add value. Share week 5, week 6. You're going to share with them results. Maybe you sold one of their neighbors' houses. You sold a house down the street. Share with them, I sold this house overpriced in 4 days. So you're going to share. And then week 7 and 8, you're going to explore. Explore is, what does it look like in order to work together? Now, the reason why we have an 8-week strategy is because most for sale by owners are going to try 8 weeks by themselves. And then after 8 weeks, they're going to give up and they're going to say, okay, I realize I need to hire a real estate professional. So what you've done is now you've dripped on them over these 8 weeks, and you're now that standing real estate professional that's been consistent when they're ready to list their house. Does anybody have any questions so far, or anything else that you do with for sale by owners that you'd like to share? I think you guys are looking to get out of here early. Everybody's quiet. I get it. I get it. All right. Always end with a close in mind. So when you think about scripts, like I said, it doesn't have to be robotic. It doesn't have to be a piece of paper that you're looking and you're reading verbatim, because that's going to sound incredibly scripted. You can think about CATS, and CATS is where you think, I'm never going to make a cold call again if I follow this exact formula. So CATS stands for complement, attract, takeaway, and schedule. Complement. Take 2 seconds before you give them a call. Look at their social media platform. I know the lead generation platform that we use, KV Core, a lot of times when a lead comes in, it's automatically tied to their social media. So if they have a Facebook account, I can pull it up real quick and compliment something that I see. Just take 2 seconds to show that you care, right? And then attract, share information about yourself to build rapport. Takeaway, how can you help them, right? It's not about just how great you are. How are you going to help them get to where they want to go, depending on what their goals are? But you have to know what their end goal is in order to be able to help them. And then, of course, schedule a call or meeting time. As I mentioned earlier, when it comes to scheduling, don't just say what time works better for you, right? Are mornings, afternoon better? Great. Mornings, awesome. I'm available next Monday or next Tuesday morning, which is better. Tuesday, 10 o'clock work for you? Perfect. So I've secured a time, and then I've reinforced it 3 different times. So again, that just goes back into that conversation. One of my favorite books that I mentioned on Monday is Fanatical Prospecting. The book Fanatical Prospecting is really good. Another one that I'm rereading right now is The Conversion Code by Chris Smith. There's a 2nd edition out. And so if you're interested in internet leads and converting, The Conversion Code is a really, really good book. All right, so repeat, affirm, isolate, and close. So like I mentioned, when you're confirming something like the day and time, if you notice, I reconfirmed it 3 different times. So one of my favorite scripts that I use, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard before, is LP Mama. So LP Mama, again, is just kind of that basic overview of a script. It stands for location, price, motivation, agent, are they working with an agent? Mortgage, have they met with the lender? And then of course, setting the appointment. So I'm going to play just this quick 3-minute video.
Keep an eye on a content creation.
Let me
agency.
get rid of this ad.
Secret has tripled my income and help these.
Okay, we're going to play just the short 3-minute video that kind of explains the LP Mama script.
Hey there, today we are going to go over a very quick and easy, simple script that will help you when you're calling leads in the system. So here we go, it's called our Premier Listings Cheat Sheet. And it starts off with a very simple script. And this is just a suggestion, and I do suggest that you make it your own, you know, put your flair into it. But it starts off as the introduction, and I'm just gonna do it how I would. So, hi, this is Courtney. I'm a realtor at Premier Listings in Delray Beach. I'm calling because you are on our website looking at properties. What has you looking? The lead will answer, and they might give you an answer for one of the items that are below that we're going to go over. But if not, these are the things that you should ask in order to get as much information as possible about what they're looking for. So we call this acronym LP Mama, and the L starts for location, P for price, M for motivation, A for agent, and M for mortgage, and A for appointment. So basically the questions will go as follows. So what cities are you looking at? They'll give you your answer. Okay, well, how much are you wanting to spend? All right, and what has you looking? Okay, and how soon do you need to buy? Great. Now, are you already working with a realtor? Great, all right. And when you buy something, are you going to be paying cash or are you going to get a mortgage? Wonderful, wonderful. And when are you available to start looking at properties? So you always want to end with the appointment. And that way, that should be your end goal, to get face-to-face time with this person, either showing them properties or getting to know them over a cup of coffee. And then you'll finalize the conversation with, great, that's all I need to get your search set and send you some properties. I'll give you a call tomorrow at blankety blank, about 4 o'clock to review them with you. Will that work? Great. Have a good night. Boom, done. Now that obviously the closing statement could be totally different. It could be, oh, I'm going to set up the properties. I'll set up some properties for you. We'll go out and look on Saturday. How would you like to start looking at noon? Great. We'll get that set up. I'll call you Friday and confirm our appointments and talk to you then. But anyway, that's just some examples of, or an example of a very simple to the point script that works. Have a good day.
Awesome. Has anybody heard of LP Mama before? Go ahead and give me a chat, yes or no. I hear yes, yes, no. Make sure everybody's engaged. Okay, in the chat, do you feel like the LP Mama outline would be useful in the conversations? Kenneth said yes from Monday. Yes, because he attended my class on Mondays. So a little bit of this is a refresh. Perfect. Awesome. So here's what I want to share with you guys is my buyer intake form. So this is one that I personally use for my team. So hers was a little bit different as it actually listed out the questions. But we've practiced the question, so we kind of already have that, but this is essentially going over the same information. So they print this out when they're having a conversation with the lead. And so they're trying to fill out as much of this during the conversation as possible. If you want a copy of this buyer intake form, go ahead and just put in the chat that you want a copy. Perfect. So you can see I'm just filling out this information. So when we look at LP Mama, location, price, their motivation level, what's their motivating factor, right? Are they moving? Are they currently renting? Okay, if they're renting, when do they need to move out by? All those types of questions. Have they worked with the lender? If so, great, awesome. Have they already been approved? What's their time frame? And then of course we have our own personal follow-up. KV Core is the lead generation platform that we use. So it basically goes over the same information. It's just set up in a different format. So if you want a copy of that, just go ahead and put in the chat that you want the buyer intake form. All right. Good, we're trucking along. So as you saw with LP Mama, it's about asking questions. So it's not this robotic script that we keep talking about. It's about scripts are meant to keep you on track. So when you have the list of questions like she did in the LP Mama, then you have exactly what you need in order to stay on track for the conversation. That way, when you hang up, you're like, oh man, I didn't ask if they were working with an agent, or I didn't ask if they've gotten pre-approved, that you've already answered all those questions. It's about them. It's not about you. So it's about finding out as much information about them as possible. Here's some good questions. What makes you want to move? In a perfect world, when would you like to close? When your home sells, where will you be moving? I talked to one the other day. They're like, I have a house in Arizona. I have a house in California. I'm trying to liquidate. I'm like, awesome. I have team members all over the country. We can help you in those states too. I wouldn't have known that unless I asked that question. So now I instantly get 3 referrals out of one conversation. What are the most 3 important factors in your new home? Why is selling or buying a home so important to you right now? On a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to get started? So of course, 10 being the most motivated, they're ready to get started now. That's going to allow you to know what that motivation factor is. If it's a 5, awesome, great. What would get you to be a 10? What's stopping you right now? So you can change and adjust your conversation based on what their answers are. And then of course, always ask them, what's our next step? What's your next step? You want to get pre-approved? Awesome. Let me connect you with one of our lender partners. Let me send you a few recommendations, right? All right, marketing plan. So we've done the script, we've talked to them, we've converted the lead, but we all know the fortunes in the follow-up. So how are you going to follow up? Number 1, we need to have some kind of CRM, some kind of database to follow up with them. So CRM standing for Clients Relations Management System. Ideally, your CRM has some kind of drip campaign feature where you can text and email on your behalf. So that way it kind of operates like a virtual assistant almost, kind of a set it and forget it. If you guys don't have a drip campaign, you don't have a CRM, I'll share with you my contact information at the end. Feel free to send me a message and I can give you some recommendations. As I mentioned, video text. I know some of you are thinking, I hate getting on video. Guys, video is everything these days. So a video text is simple. Hey, this is Micah with eXp Realty. I just left you a voicemail, but I wanted you to put a face with a name. I look forward to chatting with you. I will call you today between 2 and 3, right? So I'm letting them know exactly when I'm going to call. If you do this, and you can create 2 kind of video text. Ideally, it's personalized. So it's, hey, Susie, this is Micah with eXp. So that way she knows it's specific for her. Now, I know there's times that we can't always record a video, ladies. Those of us maybe sometimes don't have our makeup on or our hair done. Just create an evergreen one, meaning something that can be used at any time. So it's very generic. So you're not using their first name. If you do that, it's better than nothing. I'd rather it be personalized, but if you create an evergreen one, that will work too. Of course, always check the do not call registry. Make sure you're following, broker, state, national guidelines. For sell it by owners, one thing that you can do is go place a sold sign rider and with a little note on their front porch, something cute, like this could be yours, right? So when we talked about that 8-week plan, you could put something unique as part of your for sale by owner plan, like a for sale rider, or excuse me, a sold rider. Be unique and stand out from the crowd. We talked a little bit about that on Monday. A minimum of 8 touches to convert, the most stop after 1 or 2. So if you go above and beyond, you're going to see above and beyond results. Find a partner and let's practice. Now, this is much easier when we're in a classroom setting. But with that said, I would love to see if anybody's willing to practice right now, do a role play. I can go first if anybody wants to be the potential client. All right, nobody wants to volunteer? Do I have to call out a name?
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Rakita. So I'll start first calling you, and then we could do a reverse prospecting call if you don't mind. So sound good? So I'll
Yes,
call
ma'am.
you as a buyer. So ring, ring.
Hi, this is Rakita.
Hey, Rakita, this is Micah with eXp Realty. I know I just called you out of the blue. Is now a good time? Do you have a few minutes to chat?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So I was actually calling you. I just noticed that you had visited our website and you were looking at 123 Main Street. And I just wanted to call and see what caught your attention on that property.
Oh, I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I love that it had a pond, and it's just out in the country. It's just looks like everything we'd like to have.
Oh, no, I couldn't agree more. It's a beautiful, beautiful property. I mean, that pond is that sun, you got to see it at sunset. I mean, it's absolutely to die for. So let me ask you this. Do you live in the country right now?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
Okay.
living with my parents in a transition period. Until we can find something that fits us.
Nice. Okay. So I mentioned you, I noticed that you said us. So you have other family members that are looking to move as well?
No, not right now.
Okay. So no spouse or kids or anything. Is it just you that's looking?
Oh, yes, spouse, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, just me and my spouse.
Awesome. I love it. So just curious, I know that you said you're at your parents' house. Is there a specific time frame that you're looking at?
Oh, we'd like to be settled within the next year. We've got to do some savings to get to a place. So we're just kind of dreaming at the moment.
Oh, trust me, I get it. Buying a house is a big deal. So you mentioned savings. Have you ever met with a lender or a mortgage professional just to kind of see what that looks like?
No, I haven't met yet. I've just, I know it takes a lot of money to buy a house, so we're working on that right now.
Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, there's definitely some programs out there. I don't know if you qualify or not, or kind of what that looks like, but if you'd like, I could send you a couple of our lender partners. They could reach out. It's at no cost to you, and just kind of look at that financial structure, and we could see exactly what you need to do. That way we're preparing over the next year. And you know exactly where you need to be. So would you mind if I have them reach out to you?
Oh, no, I think that'd be great. I'd like to visit and see what, what we're up against.
Okay. And is there a specific time? Would today after 3 o'clock work?
Well, I got to take the kids to practice at 3:30. So, if it's quick, we could do it before then, but I'm free after 6.
Great. Okay. I will let them know. So you mentioned, how many kids do you have?
2.
2. I have 2 as well. I think I got some gray hairs. How old are they?
Oh, teenagers. I'm masking my gray hair at the moment.
My oldest is a teenager, and oh my gosh, I wasn't quite, you can't prepare for that, can you?
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
That's awesome. Well, Rakita, have you ever talked to an agent? Are you actively working with another real estate agent right now?
No, I'm just creeping on websites, at night right now.
It's okay to creep, don't worry. But here's what I can do, so you're not creeping on different websites, is I'll have our lender partners call you today after 6, And if it's all right, if tomorrow at 10 works for you, I can follow up. We can set you up on a custom search. That way you're not having to creep in all these different websites, and it's a live feed that as soon as a house hits the market, based on your criteria, you're going to get a direct email. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good. I kind of go down the rabbit holes, like,
We all do. We all do. Trust me.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, that'd be great.
this-
Custom search sounds nice.
This way you can bookmark it. You're not going to 100 different websites. And so I'll give you a call tomorrow at 10, and our lenders will give you a call today at 6 o'clock.
Okay, that sounds great. I'll put it on the books. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rakita. It was great talking to you, and I'll send you my contact. Please let me know if you need anything else.
You too. Thanks. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, good. Thank you so much, Rakita. Any feedback on that? Did you guys hear how I used the LP Mama script throughout that conversation? Anything that I
Yeah,
said
that was
with
good.
the takeaway? I'm sorry, Rakita, go ahead.
I was just saying that was really good. You had good flow and didn't, yeah, it was just, I like the LP Mama. That was good.
Yeah, so I know what questions I need to ask, but it doesn't sound robotic because I'm not reading off a script, right?
Right.
What
Right.
other thing am I doing that is key? Did anybody notice? I want to see if anybody noticed it.
You were laughing and being relatable.
You got it. And I'm smiling the entire time. Do you think they can hear me smiling on the other side of the phone?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right. You got it. So again, it goes back to that energy, right? So I'm moving my hands, I'm laughing, I'm smiling. I asked her if she had kids. Oh, awesome. I have 2. I'm getting some gray hairs. Like I made fun of myself, right? Because now I let her put that wall down and open up to me.
Yeah, it was very personal, like personable. Like I feel like I would be, looking forward to chatting with you and just building that just a little bit of rapport to be like, oh, well, if you wound up inviting me for a coffee to have a chat farther, I'd be like looking forward to that just because we had a little bit of laughs and I'm just like poking around in the night, just peeking and dreaming. And now I've got like this little hope of like, hey, maybe we can get a plan and actually move forward out of the dreaming state to like, I'm aware that I go down the rabbit holes. I don't need to look at $2.5 million properties and, 4 hours away. So, yeah, no, it was good flow.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And again, that's why it's always important today I record myself, because sometimes we fumble on something stupid and we're like, oh, why did I say that? Right. So that's why it's important to practice and to listen to yourself. So does anybody want to practice? Rakita, are you willing to do a reverse role play?
So inside right now, I was just like, I'm terrified. Like I've never done it.
Hey.
Just like,
First time for everything.
I know I need to, but I'm like I'm shaking.
Oh, no. Well, let me ask this. Would anybody else want to volunteer to role play so she doesn't have to, so we don't have to put her on the spot?
But I mean, I guess I need to do it because I gotta suck it up and be a big girl.
I love it. I love the attitude. That's the attitude. There you go. All right. Who wants to be on the other side with her as the potential consumer?
Hold on, I gotta do it.
I will.
Awesome. Thank you, Jody. All right. So Jody, you're the potential consumer. Rakita is the agent.
Okay.
And this is a Judge Freeman. We're here to help each other. No judgment.
Okay. I'm putting my notes. I'm writing out my acronym for LP Mama again.
Okay. So location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment.
Okay, same situation, buyer. Okay. Ring ring.
Hello,
Hi, is this Jody?
it is. Who am I
Hi,
speaking to?
Jody. This is Rakita with Fathom Realty, and I had seen where you were looking on our website. Is there anything that I could help you with?
For right now, I was just sort of browsing, just getting a feel for what the market is like.
Okay. Okay. And just
No, you're
I
doing
just went,
You're doing great. You're doing great.
so where are you currently living?
Currently in Edmond, Oklahoma.
In Edmond? Okay, and where are you looking to move?
I'd like to stay within the area.
In Edmond, okay.
Yeah, so I would have to, you know, I have some needs and wants that my current house isn't providing.
Oh, okay. Did you say, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You
I-
have some needs and wants that,
My current house isn't providing at the moment. Mhm.
oh, okay, okay. So, that what has you moving is, what are you looking for in a different home?
Well, I would, more size. I need something a little bit bigger. I definitely need a pool. An
Ooh.
in-ground pool would be nice, triple car garage, so.
Okay, okay, we can definitely find you something like that. And then, what time frame would you like to be moved in?
Well, I know by me just talking with my neighbors and some of my friends, houses are selling really quickly, but it's also hard to find one. So I think what I would need to do is find a house first and then sell mine.
Okay, are you, have you spoke with a lender about financing, or,
So
you need to sell yours?
no, I've just sort of mentally done all the numbers, but I'd be open to talk to a lender if you have one.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I can definitely email you some of the lenders that we work with. And we could would you like to get together, or let's do this?
No. Just kidding. I'm just
You're
kidding.
doing good. You're doing good.
Okay, so you wouldn't mind if I gave your information to a lender and they can give you a call this evening or tomorrow, which is best for you?
They could. I'd also like to have their information so I can look them up and see where they work and who they work for.
Oh yeah, good girl, do your homework. Okay,
Yes.
and to what email address can I send that, or would you rather a text?
No, I can give you my email and then I would be open to chatting with them. I would prefer to reach out to them though.
Okay,
Mhm.
that sounds good. And then what price point would you like to be in? And I can set you up on a search and customize that for you as well.
How is your search any different than mine going on Zillow or Realtor.com?
So when I set it up, it's an automatic, like whenever something hits the market, because things are moving very fast, I can
Yes.
set it up to hit your inbox immediately. So, and it just fits the criteria that we choose for you with your square footage, and then it has a pool, and since things are moving very quickly, we can go ahead and get you pre-approved with the lender, and then you've got those coming into your inbox, and then we're able to move quickly instead of you having to look for them. It's finding you.
Okay. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I'd be
Okay.
interested in that. Absolutely.
Okay, all right. I can set you up for a property search, and then also if you're needing to sell your home, then I can set you up on a market report so you can see what is actually being sold in the area, what's active, and then we'll know what our competition is. Does that sound good?
That sounds fine. Yes. And then I guess at some point you'd have to come out and evaluate my house.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Would you like? Are you available tomorrow or the weekend? What works best for you?
Well, I would have to check with my husband first, but so provide me your name and number again. You can shoot me a text to the number that you called, and then
Okay.
I can follow up with you.
Okay, it sounds good.
I think you did great, Rakita. First off, can everybody give her a big thumbs up? Thank you, Joe.
I'm just like, I've never, this is why I need to practice, because I'm like, ugh.
That's
did
why we're
great.
here, but you did amazing. So, I mean, you went through it. And again, that's where we said practice is going to make you better. And so that's exactly what we're doing today. We practice every single day. So I really appreciate you stepping up and doing it. Jody, thank you for being on the other
It was
side.
very hard. Thank you, Jody, so much. I need a partner to practice with, because I'm like, ugh.
No, you did good. You did good. And the more you
Yeah,
do
trying
it,
to hit
the
all the
easier it'll get.
points.
Mhm.
Huh?
The more you do it, the easier it will become.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
And by the way, Jody's licensed in Oklahoma, but she came from Canada as well. So we got a little Canadian on our hands here.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go back to my screen share here. Thank you, ladies. You guys were awesome. So I know that's definitely a lot harder when we're doing this virtual. So next is be committed. So 10X, if you guys have ever, read the 10X book by Grant Cardone, kind of 10Xing your goals. A lot of times we see the tip of the iceberg and the success, but as we just witnessed, it's all of the things that we've done, the hard work, the criticism, the doubt, the failure, the rejection, all the different things is what's going to bring that iceberg up. So overflow your pipeline, make prospecting a priority to drive results, track your conversion rates, track your hourly worth, ROI, return on investment, commit to daily activity, update and work out of your CRM. And here's your homework. Everybody ready? Implement what you've learned. I don't want you just to take the CE class just for the CE credit and then go off and not do anything with it. I would love to help you. So I'll share my contact information on the next page. But your homework is pick 3 things you will implement immediately. As we just saw with Rakita, she practiced the LP Mama script live for the first time ever hearing it. So that was absolutely amazing. Take a look at your schedule and take time every day to practice, role play, call every day, choose your toolkit, your CRM, your dialer, your drip campaigns, lead method, etc. Number 3, find an accountability partner and make sure you honor not just your time, but also their time. So with that said, here is my contact information. Feel free, if you ever need anything, you can reach out to me. You can also schedule a free 15-minute strategy call with me at mruwattcalendar.com.